Yo, what is up, y'all? It's Cone back here again today with another video. Today, I'm going to be reacting to not necessarily like an article, but a player rankings of sorts. The Ringer went through and ranked their top 25 players in the NBA. I think they did like a list of panelists from their website, and so I'm excited to see what it looks like. I don't really rank players very often. I did like one video ranking my top 10 point guards back before the season started, and I was going to do all the positions, but I never finished it just because rankings are really tough. And so I never finished it, so I don't necessarily have my concrete list of top 25. If you asked me, I could probably list you who I think are the top 25 players, but I've never made a list specifically because that's just really difficult. But I'm excited to kind of see what they have, what criteria they used. I know some other YouTubers, at least I know like Kenny has done a video on this, but I have not watched that video. I'm going into this blind, so I'm excited to see what they have to offer. So make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Helps me out a lot. Also comment down below what you think of the list when you get through the video. So also, link will be in the description to the article if you want to read it. As we go through, so let's see. Okay, so they start off with a list of kind of some notes. Honorable mentions include DeJounte Murray, Chris Middleton, Bam Adebayo, Evan Mobley, Paul George, LaMelo Ball, Darius Garland, Kyrie Irving, Mikal Bridges, Pascal Siakam, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Damian Lillard. The players that fell out of the top 25 from last year are Bam Adebayo, Paul George, Kyrie Irving, Damian Lillard, Julius Randle, Bradley Beal, Zion Williamson, and Kawhi Leonard. Of course, with them both being injured, I guess they just wouldn't make it. This is the lowest LeBron has ever placed in their rankings. 6 of the top 7 players in last year's exercise are still ranked that high, and the widest spread of rankings among individual voters by far belong to James Harden and Draymond Green. Just kind of some notes, I guess, off the bat. Since Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was not listed in those honorable mentions, I'm expecting him to be on this list, but knowing the way that people kind of sleep on him, also, I would not be surprised if he's not. So, 25 is Jaylen Brown. Okay. Solid. I think Jaylen Brown is in that conversation. He's really good. He has kind of had some injuries, which maybe took him out of an all-star consideration and stuff like that. Yeah, actually, it says that here, but he is a top 25 player in this league, I would say, or at least he definitely is in that conversation. Great two-way player with the way the Celtics are playing, especially right now. He's been super important to the way that they're playing, so shout to Jaylen Brown. Definitely deserving, I think, of at least an honorable mention on here. Fred VanVleet at 24 makes sense once again. One of the best players on a Raptors team that has really been thriving this season. They've kind of slowed down a little bit post All-Star break, but they still have been really good on the year. Fred VanVleet, his efficiency, his three-point shooting has been phenomenal over the course of this season. Like it says here, averaging right under 22 points per game, 4.5 rebounds and around 7 assists. Just great stats, especially for a guy who went undrafted. I think that's amazing. Part of the reason why I like Fred VanVleet so much is that he was one of those undrafted guys. So to see him kind of prove a lot of people wrong is dope to see. All-star for the first time this year. Great defender. Fred VanVleet does it all. Is he above Jaylen Brown? I don't know. It's something I think you can debate. 23 is Anthony Davis, which is interesting. Once again, this has been a player that's missed a lot of time. Yeah, I guess it depends, because if they're just going like straight off this season, which I'm guessing they are, going off of this season, Anthony Davis probably deserves to be here, if not a little bit lower, because he hasn't quite been as good as he's been in the past over the course of this year. Now, he has been injured a lot, and when he did come back from injury, he looked pretty good for a few games. Of course, got hurt again, so it's really, I guess, just a question of what you think about Anthony Davis here. Yeah. So let's see. Yeah, is he better than Fred VanVleet? I would say he definitely is better than Fred VanVleet and Jaylen Brown, but over the course of this season is another question. 22 is Zach LaVine. Okay. LaVine, once again, been really good. An all-star, one of the best players on a Bulls team that's been really solid over the course of this year. They're slowing down a little bit with some injuries, but when fully healthy, whoops, they are one of the better teams in the league. He wasn't ranked last year, so cool to see him jump up, right around 25 points per game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, you know, Zach LaVine type stuff. You can debate whether he's better than the other guys, but I don't think this is that bad of a list so far. I think this is pretty solid. 21 is Jarrett Allen, which is very interesting. He is a great rim protector. Yeah, so they're saying according to statistics, he's the best rim protector this season. Is he better than Jaylen Brown, Fred VanVleet, and like Zach LaVine, Anthony Davis? I don't know. That's something you can definitely talk about. I think Jarrett Allen is underrated. I think he's really solid. He was definitely deserving of an all-star selection, and the way that he's played defensively has been huge. I don't know if I have him above those other guys. I think that like Jaylen Brown is a great perimeter defender. You have other great perimeter defenders up there, like for example, Fred VanVleet, who are also pretty good offensive players. So it's just a question of kind of preference, I guess. 20 is Jrue Holiday, which is surprising. I'm surprised Jrue is this high, to be honest. I think he is a guy that does contribute a lot to winning. I guess it's also kind of a question of, do you favor more like individual statistics and stuff like that, or are you more so on the side of like team, like how do they help the team win, I guess, a little bit more. Jrue Holiday, of course, a champion, winning last season, playing great defense. He does all of kind of the small things that teams need. Like I said, great defense, playmaking as well. Drew's good. Once again, question of if you want to have him above those other guys. I would probably have Jaylen Brown and Zach LaVine above Jrue Holiday, but it's once again, it's preference. 19 is Draymond Green. Wow. Yeah, I know they said that he had some of the most polarizing rankings up there. Probably my defensive player of the year before he got injured. So that's another question, is like, where do you put him based on injuries and stuff like that? His defense is obviously huge. And I do think this injury time that he has been out has really shown how valuable he is to the Golden State Warriors as a team. Like, their team success a lot relies on him. I don't know. It's just, once again, like, what are you ranking it on? Whether you want Draymond Green above like a Zach LaVine or like a Jaylen Brown. 18 is James Harden. Interesting. This feels low, but we'll see. We'll see who's above them. Yeah, James Harden, he's been really good since coming to Philly. He did have kind of that weird stretch in the middle where he wasn't quite as efficient, so I guess that's something you can kind of chalk up. Okay, Rudy Gobert at 17, one of the best defenders in the league, the best rim protector and defender. He's really impressive. He was ranked at 18 last year. He moved up one spot to 17. He really is the entire defense for the Utah Jazz. He carries them completely. And so the way that he shifts the game when he's in there versus when he's not, it makes sense that he would be up there towards like the middle of this list. 16 is Karl-Anthony Towns. Awesome. I'm a big Cat fan. If you didn't watch my Timberwolves video from the other day, go check that out. But I like Cat a lot. Best 3-point shooting big man of all time. 25 points per game, 10 rebounds. He wakes up and gives you like 25 and 10 on with 3 or 4 threes. It's just what Cat does. And the way that he has really stepped up, helped his Timberwolves team win, it's huge. And I think he finally is getting the props that he deserves because they are winning more games. He's always been this good, but I think he's finally now getting his props. 15 is Trae Young. Interesting. Okay, we'll have to see who's above him. 27.8 points per game, 9.4 assists. I think Trae Young is kind of becoming underrated a little bit. The Hawks have definitely been having a down season, but it's not because of Trae Young. The players around him just aren't quite performing to the level last year. And I do think the Hawks overachieved a little bit in the playoffs last season. So that's kind of given them some unrealistic expectations for the way this is supposed to go. Trae Young is really good. I think he is underrated at this point. 14 is Donovan Mitchell. Okay. 25.7 points per game. I honestly don't think I realized he was scoring that much. He's above him in scoring efficiency with screens, I guess they're talking about here. Shooting worse from 3. You've got Devin Booker right above him. We'll get to that in a second. Donovan Mitchell is really good. I don't know if he's better than Trae Young, to be honest. I kind of think I would have Trae Young before. Once again, I don't have a concrete list, but I would think Trae Young would probably be above a little bit, but that's just kind of my preference. 13 is Devin Booker. That makes sense. Once again, it's like, part of it is that the Phoenix Suns are winning so much, and Devin Booker is a big piece to that. The Phoenix Suns are also a really good team, so you could debate him and like Trae Young and Donovan Mitchell. I know him and Donovan Mitchell has long been a debate between those two guys. I personally kind of lean Devin Booker a little bit, but I don't think there's a wrong answer there. 12 is Jason Tatum. Okay, I think Jason Tatum does belong kind of in this realm. He's been a borderline top 10 player this season, especially recently. He's just a monster, two-way player, can score 50 on any given night, can lock up the opposing team's best player. He does a little bit of everything. 11 is Jimmy Butler. Now, I like Jimmy a lot, but he's not better than Tatum. I don't think he's better than Trae Young. I don't think he's better than Devin Booker, I don't think, or Mitchell. I think Jimmy Butler's a little too high. But I mean, he is a great defender. It's just his offense that really kind of worries me. Like, he can't score efficiently at all. You'll notice, like, his efficient field goal percentage here is 48.3. Tatum's is a couple notches above as well. Devin Booker's is a couple above. Donovan Mitchell's is like 5 notches above. So I guess it's just a question of, does his defense outweigh his struggles to shoot the ball? Who do you want the ball in, like, at the end of the game? All questions you can ask. I think Jimmy Butler is really good. Don't get me wrong. I think he is a top 15 player. I just don't know if I have him above some of those other guys. Chris Paul at 10. Wow, that is high. I'm actually wearing a Chris Paul shirt right now, a Chris Paul All-Star shirt from his time in OKC. So I'm a huge Chris Paul guy. I love Chris Paul. I think he's one of the best. Like, he's a player in the league. If I have to build a team to win, Chris Paul is a guy that I want desperately on that roster. He's consistently been a winner in his career. He elevates whatever team he's on. Look at OKC a couple years ago. Look at the Suns now. As soon as he came into the fold, the Suns were, of course, turning a corner. But without Chris Paul, they don't get to the finals last season. Chris Paul's really good. He's one of the best clutch players in the league. Of course, one of the best passers in the league, averaging around 11 assists. I just don't know if I have him above, like, Trae Young and Tatum at this point, or like Donovan Mitchell. I don't know. It's ranking players is tough. 9 is DeMar DeRozan. Once again, I think this is just based on this season. So this would definitely make sense. He could even be higher, to be honest, if you're just ranking it on this year. If it's like a career-wide thing where you're like taking into account last year and stuff like that, I don't think he makes it this high. But I'm super hyped to see DeRozan up here. I'm glad he's having a phenomenal season. I love what the Bulls have been doing. So shout out to DeRozan. The way that he's carried that Bulls team through a lot of stretches where they're missing a ton of guys, it's been really impressive. So 8 is Ja Morant. Ja's really good, and he has been really good this season. Okay, real quick, who's above him? At 7 is Luka. Okay. Is Ja 8? I don't know if to be honest, I don't think I have Ja above, or at least, okay, I think the big problem is that Ja Morant is so much, like, I don't think Ja Morant is 7 spots higher than Trae Young. I don't think that's true. I don't think he's that much higher than Devin Booker or Devin Booker or Donovan Mitchell either, if you want to rank him above those guys. Once again, if it is just on this season, I think Ja Morant is deserving of being up here. It just maybe feels a little too bit of a stretch between him and the other guards in the NBA. I don't know. You let me know. You let me know if I'm wrong on that. Luka Doncic here at 7. I think Luka could maybe even be higher. I need to see who's up here, but Luka's been an MVP candidate this season. I think he's underrated in that regard. Like they say here, is there a player in the world 25 years or younger that you'd rather start your franchise with than Luka Doncic? Very valid question. He's just a complete offensive system by himself. The Mavericks have really kind of found their stride with a bunch of solid defenders, 3-and-D guys with Luka Doncic. It's been impressive what he's done. I feel like we've kind of gotten normalized to what Luka does, because I think some people have started to underrate him a little bit. But like 28 points per game, 9.3 rebounds, and 8.8 assists on good efficiency. It's not normal in the NBA. He's dealt with some injuries this season, but he's been insane. Let's see. We've got 6 is LeBron James. Wow. At number 6. That's kind of crazy. I'm curious to see because I'm trying to think in my head who's above him. We got I'm trying not to say names because I want to see. Okay, we'll see. Wow. Good for LeBron. I think he is definitely. We'll see. Let me see who's above him real quick. 5 is Steph. Okay. Yeah, I know the guys that are going to be above him. I think this is a good spot, I guess. I think he should be above Steph if we're just doing the way that the players have played this season, or I guess even in general. Like, I think LeBron could maybe be above Steph Curry. He's been phenomenal for this team, even though the Lakers have been kind of disappointing. Steph's been really hit or miss over the course of this year. Yeah, I don't know. It's really tough here at the top. For a while, it was just like LeBron is the best player in the league, but now at this point, it's really any guy's game. So you've got LeBron at 6, you've got Steph at 5. Like I said, kind of having a down year by his standards, but even so, he still is really, really good. He's definitely a top 6 player. For me personally, I think the 6 best players in the league are, in no order, Embiid, Jokic, Giannis, Durant, Curry, and LeBron, which are the 6 that are going to be up here. So I think it's just a matter of preference. I think you could put those 6 guys in most orders and I'd be okay with it, but let's see. At number 4, we do have Kevin Durant. Like I said, the top 4 guys were going to be KD, Jokic, Embiid, and Giannis, which it makes sense that KD's kind of 4 here, just in terms of this season, because Giannis, Embiid, and Jokic have for a little bit been kind of the consensus top 3 guys in the MVP race. So if you're talking just straight up like over the course of their careers, and like even now, you could definitely say that Kevin Durant is the best player in the NBA. I don't think anyone's going to argue with you on that. But in terms of the best season, I do think the other 3 guys are having better seasons, so it does make sense. You've also got the factor that Kevin Durant has been injured a little bit. Like it says here, he sprained his MCL. I mean, coming back, he's been the same Kevin Durant. At this point, Kevin Durant kind of just feels like he has like NBA plot armor. Like no matter what happens to him, he just comes back still as dominant, which is great to see. Kevin Durant is a once in a lifetime talent. So, you know, I do think 4 is a good spot for him. If you're just ranking straight up best players in the league, Kevin Durant is really in that conversation for number 1. Number 3 is Joel Embiid. I thought he would be 2, to be honest, based on like the whole Jokic Embiid thing has kind of been the back and forth. But Embiid, yeah, like it says here, it's really cool how far he's come in terms of like his injury history and stuff like that. Embiid has been a monster this season. I definitely think he is a top 5 player in the NBA. There's not much you can do about him. You double team him, he's going to shoot right over you or pass out to the open guy. He's great at drawing fouls. I'm sure a lot of you know that. I don't need to tell you that, but Embiid's just a monster. He's super good. And of course, at 2, that means you're going to have Giannis Antetokounmpo. I figured they would have. I wasn't really sure who they were going to have at 1, but that does mean that Nikola Jokic is number 1. Number 2 being Giannis, it makes sense. I think Embiid, Jokic, and Giannis are the 3 guys having the best seasons. You could put those 3 in whatever order you want, I think. In terms of an individual standpoint, Jokic has probably been the best individual player in the NBA this season. 26 points, 14 rebounds, 8 assists. There's nothing you can do really against him. He's incredibly efficient as well. One of the best. He is the best playmaking big of all time. It's really not close. Jokic is a monster. There's not a lot of weaknesses in his game, even defensively. Like he's really up the ante on that end. He's not a necessarily like great defender, but like it says here, Denver with Jokic on the court is a top 5 defense. So his rebounding, really just his presence down low, being a big body really helps that team. Jokic has been phenomenal. I think at this point he might be my MVP. I keep switching back and forth. I think last night or just over the last few games, the way that Jokic has really played, I think he's kind of started to take the lead for me a little bit. So I think number 1 does make sense. And even if you are doing like not just based on the season, I think Jokic is a very fair choice for the best player in the league. Same as Giannis. I think really any of these top 6 guys, like if you want to say Jokic, Embiid, Giannis, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, or LeBron James are the best player in the world, I don't think really many people are going to. Never mind. It's the NBA. People definitely will argue with you, but I think there's a valid case for those top 6 guys. With like Luka Doncic being kind of an outside guy. Yeah, I don't think this was that bad of a list. I think this was a fine list. It really is hard to make player rankings, especially when you have a panel of people, because people have such varying opinions. Like it mentioned Draymond Green being polarizing because how much do you value like how much he contributes to winning? How much do you value the individual stats? It's a big question in the NBA. Let me know what you thought about this list. What were your biggest grievances? Going to be biased here for a second. I think Shai should have been on this list. I mean, once again, in terms of like just individual seasons, it makes sense that Shai wouldn't be on here, but putting him in like the honorable mentions at least would have been nice. Let me know what you thought about this list. What were your biggest issues with it in the comment section below? Once again, I will have the link to the article down below if you want to read it for yourself. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It really helps me out. I appreciate y'all watching, and I will see you all later. Real one, say it back as I go down to Jokic. Yeah, I'll see ya.